Good afternoon, my name is Hola Tamanova, and it's my pleasure to see everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center recurrent forum. Today is day 576 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian occupiers. And now we will be talking about the situation in the south of our country. Joining us online is Natalia Humeniuk, head of the United Coordinating Press Center of Security and Defense Forces of the south of Ukraine. Good afternoon, Miss Natalia. Glory to Ukraine, good afternoon, glory to the heroes. Miss Natalia, yesterday we had a briefing with the representative of Kherson military administration, and he reported that in Kherson region the shellings intensified almost twice, that those territories end up under fire of Russians, which results in injuries and death of people. So what is the situation in the south of Ukraine? Yes, the enemy really intensified their strikes on the settlements in the area along the shoreline in Borislav and Kherson districts. They intensified the use of aviation. Within the last 24 hours, the enemy dropped 14 guided aviation bombs with equivalent of 500 kilograms of TNT, which says that the enemy uses the tactics of the scorched earth, thus trying to deter the offensive of the security and defense forces. They have no understanding for which direction they should expect the advance of our forces. They start attacking agricultural, civil, social, and industrial infrastructure, everything that can be destroyed by such a powerful projectile like aviation bomb. For example, yesterday about 20 residential buildings were destroyed as a result of the enemy strikes. The enemy also intensified the artillery strikes, which resulted in the death of 7 people and 12 more injured. It says that the enemy intensifies its terror component with accent on civil population to imitate the incapability of our defense and security forces to protect the civilians. Ms. Natalia, today the Russian public said that Wagner group arrived to the occupied part of Kherson region. Do you observe anything like that? Is it safe to say that there is the reinforcement in the ranks of occupier coming? Well, under the conditions of the hybrid war, they're most likely trying to uplift the morale of their troops because they really need additional reserves there. But what we observe is the arrival of Kadyrov troops and the Russian Guard, which happened a couple of weeks ago to deter the deserting sentiment in the ranks of their troops. Because as the result of the battle operations that you are able to observe in Zaporizhia region, the results of counter-battery operations, which results in death of many occupiers, now they document a lot of deserters over there. And this is why the local units who already have understanding in Kherson region, they try to find ways how to switch to civilian clothing. Now we started identifying the facts of occupiers changing to civilian clothing and trying to get lost among the civil population to get on the evacuation buses to leave that territory. This is why, as of now, the arrival of Wagner troops is not something that we are able to observe and document. Ms. Natalia, yesterday the General Staff reported that the occupiers withdraw in the Melitopol area. Today the analysts said that the Ukrainian armor moved beyond the so-called Surovikin line, and there were Ukrainian armor documented beyond those dragon teeth. Is it safe to say so? Do you have any news from that area? Well, I would like to remind everybody on information hygiene, and that commenting of the advances of security and defense forces is the job of security and defense forces basically, and dissemination of information about the movement of the troops may result in criminal liability. So please don't create obstacles in the way of the battle operations. Just wait for their relevant report of the Department of Security and Defense Forces who work in that specific area, but warning the area, the enemy where our troops can be met is not quite a reasonable step. So I urge all the experts and analysts who want to help the security and defense forces to contact the relevant units asking how they can help, but not in the way of such reports. Everything related to the battle work, any comments in this area, is the responsibility of security and defense forces. Ms. Natalia, talking about Crimea and Sevastopol, we keep seeing the explosions over there almost every day. This morning we see that it's not very quiet in Sevastopol again. The Crimean bridge is locked now. So what's going on there? Well, we know about certain circumstances and certain events unfolding there, but again, I want to urge everybody who is enthusiastic about support of such news. Look, the enemy was deploying their bases in Crimean Peninsula for a long time, and for our security and defense forces to destroy all the enemy capabilities in that area, there is still a lot of work to be done. And it will take a lot of time to finalize. So please be patient and understand that we never hold the positive news back, but we keep the pause. We make them mature like a good wine, so we can taste on them. Yes, the season of explosions is underway. There will be a lot of interesting news coming, but at this phase, those doses of information that should be available for the community are the best. Ms. Natalia, about the situation in the Black Sea, what's going on with the Russian vessels there, and what is the situation with the Snake Island? This situation remains quite tense because the enemy understands that they don't feel safe in the Black Sea and in their bases in the Black Sea, because there is analysis of the actions of our security and defense forces in the Black Sea. Now they try to hunt beyond the sea, behind the civil vessels, creating this district not far away from the Kerch Strait. They accumulate the civil vessels behind which they hide their military ships. The district of the eastern bank of Crimea is considered still safe for them, but the example of Olenikorsky-Gornyak vessel is very eloquent, so they should not rely upon their methods of protection. The enemy tries to use tactical aviation and drops the guided aviation bombs in the area of Snake Island. They stay away from their range, from the effective range of our air defense forces located in the Snake Island. But again, I want to remind that many areas around the Snake Island may still remain mined with the sea mines, and the use of guided aviation bombs may create additional detonations there. But the fact that our security and defense forces try to ensure the proper operation of the grain corridor is something that doesn't let the enemy leave us alone. But again, the civilian vessels continue using this humanitarian corridor. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions on the floor? Well, we don't have any questions in the studio. I would like to thank you for joining our broadcast. I would like to remind our colleagues joining us online was Natalia, Humeniuk, head of the United Coordinating Press Center of Security and Defense Forces of the South of Ukraine. Thank you, Miss Natalia. We continue working for the sake of our victory. We want to thank our security and defense forces, and right now our team is preparing the schedule for the next week. So stay tuned, and glory to Ukraine.